It's been a long few months for the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston. That all started with the resignation of Bishop Michael Bransfield. It's a time that's left parishioners with questions, and some questioning their faith. In a time that leaves many searching for answers, 7 News spoke to Archbishop William E to see what's next with the investigation into the former bishop.
Our faith is founded on truth. Jesus said, "The truth will set you free."
Since being named the Apostolic Administrator for the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston in September, Archbishop William E says he has aimed to seek the truth and be transparent.
I want to thank the priests, the deacons, the religious, and above all the lay people of the diocese for their patience, their love, and their understanding.
Starting with the investigation into former Bishop Michael Bransfield. He resigned in September amid allegations of sexual harassment of adults. He left the area and his name was removed from buildings, leaving parishioners with more questions than answers.
I felt I owed it to the people of the diocese to do a thorough job, and so I enlisted the help of some professionals to do a very careful, thorough job of investigating those allegations.
Archbishop E says a report from outside investigators is in its final stages, and he hopes to have it very soon. In the meantime, he prays the diocese will find a strong bishop for its new leader.
A man of prayer, integrity, pastoral love, gentleness, generosity, and someone who will bring about not only healing, but also bring about a forward-looking vision.
And wants to move into 2019 in the spirit of hope.
Hope that we can come to terms with our past. Hope that we can have a better future.
Again, Archbishop E said the investigation into the former bishop is close to completion, and the diocese will make the findings public as soon as they have them. He also said part of having a better future is acknowledging the sins of the past, including the credible allegations that were released against 31 priests who have served in the diocese. Parishioners within the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston have been left with questions for months after the resignation of Bishop Michael Bransfield among allegations of sexual harassment of adults. Apostolic Administrator Baltimore Archbishop William E and a group of outside investigators have been looking into those allegations for months and have just completed a preliminary investigation. Thanks for joining us tonight for 7 News at 6. I'm Catherine Guyon. Diocesan officials now say the fate of Bishop Bransfield is in the hands of the Holy See in Rome. They will make the final judgment.
The Archbishop was very clear at the start of this process in September of 2018. He said that the investigation will flow where the truth leads.
The preliminary investigation led to more than 40 interviews and the review of general ledger transactions over the past 13 years, all looking into allegations of sexual harassment of adults and financial improprieties against Bishop Michael Bransfield.
As part of his release, the Archbishop has restricted the faculties of Bishop Bransfield within the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston, so can't celebrate the sacraments, can celebrate Mass.
While the diocese can't release all of the findings at this time, officials did say no criminal activity was found. The results of the preliminary investigation are now sent to the Holy See in Rome for a final judgment.
It will probably take them some time to review the document and make their judgment, but an exact timetable we have no idea.
We asked the diocese what the status of Bishop Bransfield was within the church. They say he is living outside of the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston at this time. And while he can't celebrate Mass here or in the Archdiocese of Baltimore, he can in other dioceses.
He becomes Bishop Emeritus of the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston, so he's the retired bishop. Retired bishops are still allowed to celebrate the sacraments and say Mass.
As far as when a new bishop will be appointed, the diocese still has no definite timeline.
The Archbishop made it very clear in his latest trip to Wheeling that the process of looking for the next bishop of our diocese is currently underway.
And reinforced its promise to be more transparent.
It all benefits the Catholic Church, and so I think I'm proud to be part of the diocese as it takes these steps to move forward in faith and openness for the people of the Diocese of West Virginia.
Officials from the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston also reinforced their commitment to providing help to anyone who may have been harmed. They are urged to contact the Safe Environment Office at 833-230-5656. Now here's a quick breakdown of the details released today after the months-long investigation. This all started back in September of 2018 when Bishop Michael Bransfield resigned amid sexual misconduct allegations. Diocese officials announced today that no criminal action was found during their investigation. However, Bishop Bransfield is no longer allowed to serve within the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston or the Archdiocese of Baltimore, but he is allowed to perform Mass elsewhere.
Based on my investigation, it appears that the church was aware of his propensity to be drawn towards these young men and to act inappropriately.
I really feel sorry for them.
Strong words from the attorney that is representing a man who says he was molested by former Bishop Michael J. Bransfield. A civil lawsuit was filed in Ohio County late last week against the Wheeling-Charleston Diocese, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, and John Does 1 through 20. That lawsuit levels allegations that officials within the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston knew of inappropriate behavior by former Bishop Michael Bransfield as far back as 2007. Thanks for joining us tonight for 7 News at 6. I'm Logan Raddick. 7 News anchor Catherine Guyan has been going over court documents, and she joins us live in the newsroom with an exclusive interview with this alleged victim's attorney. Catherine.
Logan, attorney Robert Warner calls this a, quote, classic grooming situation. He claims Bishop Bransfield abused his power to get close to his client, who is referred to as J.E. in the lawsuit. Warner also told us his client had planned to have a career within the church, but after his experiences has left the faith.
It's a classic case of someone of power that's just using that position inappropriately in a sexual nature towards the young men that they're around.
In this case, the suit alleges that Bishop Bransfield used that power to sexually assault the plaintiff, who was previously an altar server at the Cathedral of St. Joseph and interim secretary to the bishop.
It was a multiple years. It started in 2008, and it's kind of the classic grooming situation, and which escalated to a point in 2014 of a sexual assault, a true criminal sexual assault, in my opinion.
Warner says this type of behavior allegedly occurred with other adolescent and adult males, describing Bransfield in the complaint as a, quote, sexual predator.
There were multiple allegations in the past. It appears there were inadequate investigations, and certainly nothing was ever done to the bishop. And according to my client, what happened to him was observed by other senior members of the church, and he observed the bishop do things inappropriately to other young men.
It wasn't until the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston asked for people to come forward as part of its investigations that Warner says his client reached out to tell his story.
He had seen the church cover up other allegations before. He wasn't confident they would do anything.
The diocese said that no criminal activity was found in its investigation into Bishop Bransfield, but Warner says they found his client's story to be credible.
They released the names of all these individuals that have been known to have committed inappropriate acts, and somehow, miraculously, the bishop's name is not included.
Now he hopes his client's strength encourages others to come forward and says there's power in numbers.
It's unfortunate because it was his dream to be a priest, and for many years that was his plan, and he, as you can imagine, his faith was shaken deeply.
Now, we did reach out to the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston. Officials told us they cannot comment on pending litigation. Warner says the next step in the lawsuit will be taking depositions under oath, which could take several months. If you'd like to hear our full interview with him, you can visit our website, WTRF.com. Live in the 7 Newsroom, I'm Catherine Guyan, working for you. But first, the Catholic Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston introduced their new bishop today in Wheeling. Thanks for joining us tonight for 7 News at 5. I'm Catherine Guyan. It's been 10 months since former Bishop Michael Bransfield left amid allegations of sexual misconduct and lavish spending. Today, the news media met and questioned Bishop Mark E. Brennan, current auxiliary bishop of the Archdiocese of Baltimore. He has some ties to the Ohio Valley, as DK Wright tells us now, live from Wheeling. DK.
Bishop-designate Mark Brennan emphasized those local ties. He told us about how his mother grew up in Washington, Pennsylvania, and his parents for a time lived in West Virginia. He even quoted some John Denver songs. But after that, he tackled the main issue head on.
I want you to know how acutely aware I am of the deep disappointment and pain that you have experienced as a result of your former bishop's misdeeds.
The new bishop will be tasked with deciding how former Bishop Bransfield can make amends. Bishop Brennan will consult with priests, finance experts, and Bransfield's victims.
People who experienced, I think, the abusive behavior of my predecessor.
People have said Bransfield should have been laicized, defrocked, but the new bishop says not necessarily.
Well, then you lose control, or at least you lose leverage. Not being thrown out, let's say. He is still subject to the authority.
Some said people have lost faith in the church. Some have left.
My father had an expression, I think it's an old saying, he had a lot of interesting sayings. Don't cut off your nose to spite your face.
He said, our faith does not depend on one individual. Stay with us, he said, and help us make things better. Others said it is hard to forgive.
And forgiving doesn't mean you deny the wrong that was done, no. But it does mean, for your own sake, don't let the poison overcome you.
Some church members we spoke with are hopeful.
I think the first order of business for him is going to be to heal everybody and get everybody's spirits up and kind of recharge the church a little bit, because it certainly needs it.
And we turn to Wheeling's most beloved Brennan, historian Margaret Brennan.
Sharing the name, probably the Brennans came from the same area in the old sod across the pond. And with a name like Brennan, I'm sure he'll have great success.
He left the news conference, held Mass at Wheeling Central, and then he left again. He says he wanted to attend his 45th class reunion of his seminary class. But he'll return soon, and he will be installed as bishop August 22nd. Reporting live in Wheeling for 7 News, DK Wright, working for you.
DK, thanks. Here's a look at how we got to this point. Everything started back in September of last year when then Bishop Bransfield resigned amid sexual misconduct allegations. At the same time of the resignation, Baltimore Archbishop William E was appointed as Apostolic Administrator. Archbishop E has served in that capacity for 10 months now. And finally today, the Vatican has named Reverend Mark Brennan as the new bishop of the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston.
It's a story you will see only on 7 News. As the diocese moves on from difficulties like the Bransfield scandal, Catholics in West Virginia have been anticipating changes for months. Now the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston will soon have a new bishop. Bishop Mark E. Brennan will be officially installed tomorrow afternoon at the Cathedral of St. Joseph. Thank you for joining us for 7 News at 6. I'm Logan Raddick. 7 News anchor Catherine Guyon spoke exclusively to the bishop today, and she's live in Wheeling with his thoughts on leading the diocese and how he plans to connect with parishioners. Catherine.
Bishop Brennan told us in some ways the shock of being named Bishop Designate of the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston still hasn't worn off, but he is clearly excited to lead the parishioners here. The bishop told us he is committed to getting to know parishes across the state and truly interacting with parishioners. All he asks is that they give him the chance to move the diocese forward after what's been a difficult year.
We can't just stay in the past. We have to acknowledge it, deal with it, but we also have to go forward. We have to move forward. We have a good message, the good news of Jesus Christ. We have to proclaim that in word and deed here.
Bishop Mark E. Brennan says he wasn't expecting to be named bishop of the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston, but it's a job he's eagerly anticipating. He will lead nearly 75,000 Catholics in 95 parishes across the diocese, and Bishop Brennan hopes to connect with them all.
I have to get to know people here and get to know the place and what's going on and where can the church effectively be with people, proclaiming the fundamental message of the Lordship of Jesus Christ.
To do that, he has to travel. Bishop Brennan says as a parish priest and as an auxiliary bishop, he put thousands of miles on his car.
In my first year in the Baltimore Archdiocese, I put 20,000 on. I may put double that here in Wheeling-Charleston. This is a big state.
While Bishop Brennan plans to live in Wheeling, he won't exclusively be spending time there.
I can't just stay in Wheeling, obviously. I have to get around the state. There is, down in Charleston, apparently a residence the bishop can stay in there, or can stay at a parish. I'll work that out, but I won't be staying all the time in Wheeling.
As decreed by Rome, Bishop Brennan also has a role in deciding how former Bishop Michael Bransfield will make amends. The bishop plans to first consult those who were affected by the behavior.
I will do that quickly after I get installed. Then bring that to prayer, reflect on it, and then kind of make decisions. I hope that Bishop Bransfield will be cooperative. If it is, it's better for him and for the overall situation, resolving that matter of making some amends for some of the real damage he created.
Bishop Brennan says he will be different.
Well, I pay my own bills, and I also do. If I give gifts, they're out of my money, you know.
And speak the truth and live up to his word.
I trust God. I trust God to help. The Lord has never failed me. I've failed him at times, certainly, but he's never failed me. So I trust him to help me go forward.
He hopes parishioners embrace him.
Give me a chance to show that I care about the people of this diocese and this state.
Now, this is just a small portion of our exclusive interview with Bishop Brennan. He had much more to say about his vision for the diocese, as well as a message for parishioners. You can hear that entire interview in a digital exclusive over on our website, WTRF.com. Reporting live in Wheeling, I'm Catherine Guyon, working for you.
Catherine, thanks, and we will carry the installation of Bishop Brennan live for you both on air and online. It all happens tomorrow at 2 p.m. You have two ways to watch, either on WTRF My Ohio Valley and on WTRF.com. But first, it's been a day of celebration in Wheeling. Thanks for joining us for 7 News at 5. I'm Logan Raddick. And a move that has been anticipated by Catholics in West Virginia for the past year, the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston has installed Bishop Mark E. Brennan. He will serve as the 9th bishop of the diocese. And 7 News anchor Catherine Guyon is live at the Cathedral of St. Joseph, where the service took place. Catherine.
Logan, Archbishop William E, who was serving as the Apostolic Administrator for the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston, started the Mass by saying, "This is a day for which we have all prayed." And for many Catholics across West Virginia, that's certainly true. This was such a powerful service to install Bishop Brennan. It began with a procession of priests and bishops from surrounding dioceses. Now, after being installed, Bishop Brennan delivered a homily which was full of a message of unity and healing, which echoes what the bishop told us yesterday when we sat down with him for an exclusive interview.
Most of my adult life, I've been a parish priest, but I've learned in that time that the essential work of religion is to join people to God and to one another, unite to the Lord and to our brothers and sisters. So that's what I'll really be promoting.
Now, after the Mass, Bishop Brennan came outside of the cathedral and offered a blessing for Wheeling, for West Virginia, and he also took time to greet some folks who were gathered across the street, and as well as those who had attended the service and were gathered outside of the cathedral. And after that, he went on to a welcome reception at West Banco Arena. Now, we will bring you some more of the bishop's thoughts on the day coming up tonight on 7 News at 6. But for now, live in Wheeling, I'm Catherine Guyon, working for you.
Running away from the church or from families or whatever, that doesn't help. You got to work with people, stay with them, be part of the solution, and not just someone who abandons the ship because it's been taken on some water.
Thousands of Catholics across West Virginia have waited nearly a year for this day. The Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston now has a new bishop. Bishop Mark E. Brennan was installed this afternoon at the Cathedral of St. Joseph. Thank you for joining us for 7 News at 11. I'm Logan Raddick. Hundreds packed the cathedral to listen to Bishop Brennan's first homily to the diocese. 7 News anchor Catherine Guyon was there as well and brings us his message.
This is a day for which we have long prayed, the installation of a new bishop to lead and serve the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston.
Catholics within the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston had their prayers answered as Bishop Mark Brennan was installed.
I love celebrating Mass. I love that preaching the Word of God was really the origin of my calling to the priesthood. It wasn't, it was really, that was it, you know. So to be able to speak to a lot of people and kind of tell them what's on my heart about, you know, what I hope to do here, and to encourage them to work with me, that was a great joy, really.
A powerful service included bishops, priests, and other clergy from surrounding dioceses, and Bishop Brennan's friends and family who traveled from near and far.
My grandfather, Lawrence Lonsway, and his grandfather, Algernon Lonsway, were close brothers, and his grandfather would be very proud of his appointment today.
And I just know he's going to be very good for the diocese here. He's very humble and very holy, and I think he's got a lot to say and will be helpful for healing things that are going on in the diocese.
Catholics from across West Virginia also came to Wheeling on this historic day to pray with their new bishop. And he greeted them all, both outside the cathedral and at a reception at West Banco Arena.
There's a lot of strong, faithful Catholics here, and we've suffered a lot, and I think this is the beginning, and I don't think it's any coincidence that it's on the queenship of the feast of the Queenship of Mary, and I think our patron, St. Joseph, and our Blessed Mother are really taking care of us. Bishop Brennan is an answer to prayer.
Bishop Brennan's message was one of healing, unity, and his hope to reflect God's light to the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston.
West Virginia Catholics, cherish your faith and the Holy Church that has nurtured it. Make Mary's yes to God your own, and work with me and your brothers and sisters to let the light of Christ be a light brightly visible in the mountains and valleys, the cities, streets, and country roads of this beautiful part of God's creation, West Virginia.
Reporting in Wheeling, I'm Catherine Guyan.
Paying back $792,000 to the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston, issuing apologies for his behavior, and receiving a much smaller monthly retirement payment. Those are some of the major points of what former Bishop Michael Bransfield will face as punishment. Thank you for joining us for 7 News at 6. I'm Logan Raddick, and those were just some of the punishments handed out today. 7 News reporter DK Wright has an in-depth look at everything discussed.
Bishop Mark Brennan has been talking with former Bishop Michael Bransfield, asking how he wants to make amends, but Bransfield never answered. In fact, he told Bishop Brennan he wouldn't know who to apologize to, who these people are who say he victimized them. Bishop Brennan told him,
I think you know those people who feel you really took some liberties with them in terms of sexual advancement, you know.
And he told him there were people who lived in fear and intimidation because of him.
People here in this building, one secretary said we were afraid of him, and they text one another that he was coming down the hall, you know, because they're just kind of afraid.
Bishop Brennan acknowledged the church members' desire for justice.
It will also, I hope, satisfy the righteous indignation of Catholic faithful and allow us all to move forward in living and sharing our faith without this matter to distract us.
He said he hopes Bransfield accepts these as a way to achieve restorative justice rather than a punishment.
He's not the devil incarnate. He's a brother who's gone astray in some ways.
In Wheeling, for 7 News, DK Wright, working for you.
One other punishment is when Bransfield dies, he will not be allowed to be buried in the diocese. In fact, he is not to reside in the diocese, which encompasses the entire state. Officials with the Survivors Network of Those Abused by Priests, otherwise known as SNAP, have released a statement on today's announcement. It reads in part, quote, "It's irresponsible and inaccurate to suggest that Bransfield alone should make reparations. It's likely that dozens of Catholic officials in both West Virginia and Pennsylvania knew of or suspected his abuse but ignored or hid it," end quote. And we wanted to know what you guys thought at home about the punishment handed down, and here's what some of you had to say. Jenny says, quote, "The monetary restitution is a fraction of what he owes. He needs to be put behind bars. This punishment does in no way fit the crimes mentally, financially, and spiritually," end quote. Meanwhile, Debbie says, "This is awful. Slap in the face. He should have to pay all of the money that was stolen and no retirement of any kind, plus jail. Just awful," end quote. For more on this story, you can head over to our website, WTRF.com.